At the moment, your Shadow Attorney General, there'll be a reshuffle possibly as soon as tomorrow. Angus Taylor will announce his Shadow Cabinet. As a loyalist to Susan Lee, do you expect you might stay on the front bench, or it might be time for the high jump?
Well, that's a decision for Angus. I'll serve in whatever capacity I'm asked to. That's politics, Chris.
It sure is. Well, let's have a look at the way Labor have responded to Angus Taylor. His strength is economics. He is a former Shadow Treasurer and obviously very successful in business before he went into politics. Here's what the current Treasurer has to say about him.
Angus Taylor is the architect of the Liberal Party's policy for higher taxes on workers, bigger deficits and more debt. After the way he failed as Shadow Treasurer, he should be let absolutely nowhere near a budget.
The chutzpah of this guy to talk about others not being allowed near a budget. This is the fight you need, though, isn't it? A proper economic debate.
Yeah, look, I do think that's right, Chris. One of the consistent messages I'm getting at listening posts like today is people are really, really hurting. They're working 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, just to try and make ends meet. They are very, very angry with this government. And, quite frankly, they've been angry with us because they haven't seen a united opposition. But hopefully that all changed on Friday. The party room emphatically endorsed Angus Taylor and Jane Hume, and I look forward to working with them in whatever capacity I'm asked.
Now, last week we saw that violence at the protest in Sydney's Town Hall against the visit of Israeli President Isaac Herzog. We saw police move on Muslim protesters who decided that was the place to do their evening prayers. We've seen...
Good day, Australia. Picture this. It is Eid al-Fitr, the holiest morning of the Muslim calendar. 30,000 worshippers have gathered at Lakemba Mosque in Western Sydney. The Prime Minister of Australia walks in, sits cross-legged on the floor, and within 15 minutes, a man is screaming a putrid dog directly at his face. Security bundles him through the administrative offices. He is ushered out through a back exit, while the crowd hurls "shame on you" at his retreating motorcade. And then, this is the part that will make your jaw drop, Anthony Albanese walks up to a microphone and tells the Australian public the reception was incredibly positive. If you are new here, welcome to the Australian Mind. Hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell right now, because this is the kind of story our mainstream media would rather you missed. Right, let us rewind. This was not some ambush. This was not a surprise visit. Albanese chose to attend Eid prayers at Australia's largest mosque. He knew the temperature, he knew the tensions, and he went anyway, which, credit where it is due, takes a certain kind of courage, or a certain kind of stubbornness. In this case, it is genuinely hard to tell which one. Here's the backdrop you need to understand. Australia's Muslim community has been simmering with fury since the Bondi Beach massacre earlier this year, when an IS-inspired gunman attacked Jewish worshippers. The government responded by banning Hizb ut-Tahrir as a prohibited hate group. Many in the Muslim community saw that as the government targeting them. Then Israeli President Isaac Herzog visited Australia at Albanese's invitation. Thousands protested. 27 people were arrested. The trust between Labor and Muslim-majority communities, once rock-solid in Labor strongholds like Lakemba, had been quietly disintegrating for months. So, Albanese walked into that mosque knowing all of this, and here's the truly remarkable detail. Organizers told him not to give a speech this year. Just come, just listen. That alone tells you everything about where the relationship stood. The Prime Minister of Australia was essentially asked to sit down and stay quiet, and he agreed to those terms. Some read that as humility. Others read it as a man so desperate to hold a constituency together that he surrendered the dignity of his office before he even walked through the door. But stay with me, because the spin afterwards is where this story gets truly extraordinary. Video footage is everywhere. It shows Albanese looking visibly shaken. A protester has his mouth physically covered by another attendee, trying to quieten the room. The mosque secretary is pleading, "Respect the place you are in." One man is yelling that Albanese is responsible for the deaths of 1 million people. Security rushes the Prime Minister into an administrative office. He exits through the back. His motorcade leaves to chants of "shame on you" and a derogatory Arabic play on his surname that, let us just say, references the lower half of the human body. Then Albanese posts smiling selfies on social media, captioned "Eid Mubarak," no mention of any of it. At a press conference in Whyalla later that day, he says, and this is a direct account of his words, that he walked through the crowd to the mosque and not a single person heckled him, that there were a couple of hecklers inside, that they were dealt with, that contrary to what had been suggested, no one was rushed out, that the reception was overwhelmingly incredibly positive. Australia, there's video. There are multiple angles of video. 30,000 people were there. The mosque's own live stream captured it, and the Prime Minister is standing at a lectern describing it as incredibly positive. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody in the press gallery wants to say plainly. Albanese is caught in an impossible trap entirely of his own government's making. Australia's Jewish community says he has abandoned them. They say warning signs before the Bondi attack were ignored. They say his government's balance between calling for a ceasefire and affirming Israel's right to self-defense has been spineless fence-sitting dressed up as diplomacy. And Australia's Muslim community clearly agrees, not about the conclusions, but about the fence-sitting. He has managed the extraordinary political achievement of making both communities feel betrayed simultaneously. That is not balance. That is a government that has run out of road on one of the most combustible issues in modern Australian politics and is now trying to outrun the footage. What happened at Lakemba Mosque this morning is not just a bad day for the Prime Minister. It is a symbol of a government that has consistently chosen optics over conviction and is now discovering that when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being trusted by nobody. Thanks so much for watching. It genuinely means the world.